Hello everyone. Welcome to today's lecture on defamiliarization. I'm Ms. Linda P. Joseph, Assistant Professor from the Department of English, Carmel College, Malad. Let's get started. The concept of defamiliarization was introduced by the Russian formalist Viktor Slavsky in his work Artist Technique, published in 1970. In fact, defamiliarization is a central tenet, a principle of Russian formalism. So, what does this term mean? Defamiliarization stands for the idea of making it strange. Defamiliarization is a literary technique used by most writers and poets to talk about the familiar or the everyday object or event or a matter in a different way so that they appear unfamiliar to us. So the poetic language has this ability to transform the everyday object into something else. So whatever has been ordinary to our perception suddenly appears different, it appears strange, and thereby these writers are able to get our attention. So why do writers use this technique? We know that as life goes on, everything around us becomes too familiar and habitualized. Our old habit starts to control our thoughts. So this habitualization can result in an automatism of perception, where we are no longer able to see or view things or matter around us with a conscious thought or intent. We stop seeing it for what it really is. For example, let's say we buy this new home. Obviously, we are charmed by it and we consciously enjoy being there. However, as weeks pass by, everything about the house becomes too familiar to us. We somehow lose this initial sensation that we had about it. Likewise, in order to see the familiar around us more clearly, it needs to become unfamiliar again. And this is where literary language and defamiliarization comes. So by use of this technique of defamiliarization, art and literature make us see this world differently in a new light. Art returns to us the awareness of things, the sensation that we had about them in the first place. Let's take a look at a few examples of defamiliarization in literature. Viktor Slavsky cites the example of Tolstoy's Klostomer, the story of a horse, published in 1886. In this story, the narrator is a horse. This is where defamiliarization starts. Because the readers are drawn into the mind of a horse, we see things from the perspective of this animal. Among the various experiences shared, this horse is shown wondering about this whole concept of personal property, not quite understanding what it means to belong to someone, a human. To this character, a man owning land, owning air, water, or animals is incomprehensible. This whole notion about ownership, considered as normal or taken for granted by the society, appears defamiliar for the reader here. The narrator is killed off long before the story ends. However, the technique of storytelling does not change, and the readers continue to be defamiliarized with the things they take for granted. Similarly, in the poetry of the 20th century American confessional poet Sylvia Plath, one can easily cite the use of this technique. In the poem titled Daddy, published in 1962, the speaker draws an unlikely comparison of her father to a Nazi and herself to a Jew. In the poem stanza 6, the speaker says, I thought every German was you. She continues in stanza 7 and says, I began to talk like a Jew. I think I may well be a Jew. Again in stanza 8, the speaker says, I may be a bit of a Jew. She admits that she has always been scared of her father, his neat mustache, and the Aryan bright blue eyes. So this relationship symbolically transforms the speaker into a Jew. So how does defamiliarization happen here? It is with this reference to the violent imagery of Holocaust and this association of the father-daughter relationship to that of a Nazi-Jew relationship. This estranges the reader. Here, our perception about father-daughter relationship becomes defamiliar and strange. That's it for today. Hope you understood the session on defamiliarization. Thank you.